Alright, what's up guys? Welcome to a new video. This is going to be based on the Q. As you guys see, the Q is currently dead. I'm not sure if you can hear it. So, it's dead. What I noticed a couple of times is I will jump start it with this. It'll turn on. I'll go run some errands, be at the gym for an hour or two, go back out, it'll turn on. The next morning is just dead. And I know it's not my battery because I just got this battery. This is my second new battery actually. So what I'm gonna be doing is replacing my alternator. Pretty sure it's not keeping charge, so when the car is not driving for a couple of hours, it just dies. And there's multiple ways to change the alternator for this car. This engine bay is dirty. But in order to do it from the top, I have to remove this cover, the reservoir tank, the passenger side intake, and the hose. But I am not trying to do that because I don't want to remove the hose because of the coolant, and then I have to bleed the coolant, and then I just don't want to have coolant everywhere.
So I actually ended up replacing my alternator from the top, but I didn't remove any of my coolant hoses, and you'll see later on in the video.
So I know there's not really much videos on a 3.0, so I'll let you guys see if I end up replacing the alternator to the top of the car or to the bottom. Alright, before we start disconnecting anything from the alternator, let's disconnect our battery. And then, obviously, you know where it's up here on the passenger side, just disconnect. I'm gonna disconnect both of them. I'll just put like a rag under it so it doesn't make any contact. It's a 10mm. And then we'll disconnect the two harnesses that are going to the alternator. So we're gonna take off this cover off. We're gonna remove this reservoir tank off to the side. Don't disconnect any hoses.
All right, to save you guys some time, start removing your intake box along with the couplers all the way from the turbo. Start removing that so you have space to move the pulley and put in your Allen key, and it just makes it a lot easier. And I'm mentioning it now so it saves you guys some time and you guys don't have to make it harder for yourselves.
And then with the 3/8, you're gonna need it to pull on the tensioner. Pull it this way down so it could lift up this little piece, and you put an Allen key. I'll show you guys how it's gonna look like in a bit. All right, so as you guys can see, take off this reservoir tank, put it off to the side, and my ratchet is right there. That's the tensioner. You guys can see where it's on. I'll take it off so I can show you guys a little bit better. So alright, hopefully you guys can see, but as you guys can see right here where my finger's at, this little hole, this bottom one that I'm covering, that's gonna be where your 3/8 socket goes. I wish I had a better zoom in this lens, but currently I don't. And essentially what you do is you put your ratchet in, and it's gonna go in like this, and you're gonna use some type of lever for leverage and just go down this way. And then essentially what it does is, okay, as you guys can see, have this, what do you call it, just my jack lever to use as leverage, and my ratchet is on that tensioner right there. And then I don't know if you see that right there, that's gonna go down, and that's where you put your Allen key. I'll try with one hand, see if I can. All right, you guys see how it moves? It matches up with the other side, and then that's where you put your Allen key to hold it. and keep the belt loose. Wish I had a different lens, but we'll try to make this work. I'm sure you guys can see the Allen key. As you guys can see now, the belt is loose. And then once you put the belt back, I'll set up the diagram. Once I put the belt back, you complete the steps, but reverse. Stupid lens. Okay, and then now you can take this off. No. Oh my God, it went all the way around. I'll be right back. All right, so we're now under the car by the passenger side. Excuse this. So your alternator is right here above the oil filter. And then just take off the bolts holding the alternator, as well as all the wired connections. I believe it's 2 that I see. I believe it's those 2 that you see right here. It's this one. It's this one, and one more up top. All right, so I did end up doing is, you know where we put the ratchet to lever on the tensioner? I ended up taking it off because you're gonna have to take it off to get to the bolts for the alternator. Make sure to leave the Allen key like this. I mean, I'm not sure what'll happen if you take it off, but I mean, it's eventually stuck as soon as I took it off. This is a 14 mil. Honestly, I took it off because I couldn't take off the belt from this pulley. It was a struggle, but I needed to take it off anyway, so it kind of works out. I made it a little bit easier. Now that the belt is off, now you can see the alternator a lot better from here. I'm not sure if you guys can see it right there. I'm pretty sure I could replace it from the bottom. Might be a little bit harder, but you know, we like to make things hard for ourselves sometimes. But yeah, that's pretty much it from the top part, and now it's time to unbolt everything from the bottom. Excuse the background noise. They're doing some landscaping. You guys can see I already went ahead and disconnected both of them. I broke the clip on that bottom one. It's a little bit hard, just be careful. Once I put everything back, we'll do new alternator. I'm gonna put some electrical tape around it. And then that top one, the blue one, is also one you gotta disconnect. And then you can start unscrewing the alternator bolts. It's not gonna be that one you see. That's a rod. I don't know what that is. It's gonna be one literally under this pulley. I don't know if you can kind of see it right there, under that little metal line. So you'll see it when you're taking it off. You know, there's that top one and the bottom ones, and then the ones holding on the bracket for alternator. Let me get under the car, and then I'll show you guys the bottom ones. All right, so we are now under the car. As you can see the alternator right here. So it'll be this bolt holding on that bracket. There is this bolt right here, right under it, and then there's this one right there, if you can see it, and then there's that top one as well, if you can see it right there, that one. I'll try to get a better angle. That one right there. You'll see it holding onto the alternator. Ignore this one. Wait, yeah, ignore this one. It's this bottom one.
So before we move on, at this point, I already took off the bottom bolts, which are 12 millimeter, the very top bolt, which is a 14 millimeter. And as soon as you're able to take those off, you just pull the alternator towards the front of the car, and it should be able to look how it does in this clip.
The very top one is gonna be the hardest one. As you see, I already kind of pulled it out. I just need to take off the wiring that's on the top of the alternator. One thing that I do recommend is you bolt off the 3 bolts of the fan shroud, because the top bolt is going to be hitting against the fan, so you have to basically loosen it up, pull it up a little bit, just enough so it goes into the little gap of the fans. As you guys can see, it'll go into like the little gap right there, and you can pull up the big long bolt. And then right now what I am going to do is probably take off the intake so I could have some more visibility on the top wiring end. Pretty sure it's like a ground wire or something, a connector. So let me do that real quick. My dad's already helping me out, and I'll get back with you guys. For the fan, there's one right here, and then one on this side right here. And of course you gotta loosen up both reservoir tanks. And took off my intake. Obviously, if you have colder intakes, you gotta take off the whole coupler. And I just put it off to the side. And then
The other thing I did, as you can see here, the bracket that bolts on from the bottom of my alternator, the harness, the connectors, I pulled it all the way to the top, so I had some space, and it wouldn't get caught on, the alternator wouldn't get caught on the bracket or the wiring.
that's the alternator right there. Now I'm just gonna unplug that grounding, and then there's the connector right there. Here it is. One recommendation is unplug this harness that's going to there. Just be careful, because it does like bend in a weird angle because it goes back into the car. And this little bracket has a little 10 millimeter right there, or I believe 8, 10. Just loosen it up to make sure not to lose the bolt, and it'll give you some play to pull it out slowly. You do have to rotate and stuff for it to come out, but it's gonna be a little bit of a puzzle again, but at least I got the alternator out. Now I just need to buy the new alternator. Crazy. Took it off, but don't even have the new one. But it's pretty much how it is. Excuse the oil from the intake. This is my new alternator. I managed to get it in. I just need to position it the way it's supposed to, but obviously I need to connect my grounding to this and the little wiring harness that connects on top of here before I shove it back into position, and then it should be all good to. So I come out the bracket. I literally, both brackets, I just pulled them up just to give me space because it was bothering me and in my way if I left it hanging at the bottom. So you can always do that. And then yeah, it's a lot of moving around the alternator. I really couldn't remember how I took it out. As you guys can see, there's some scratches right there, but I mean, you don't see that. So let me connect that back, and then yeah, we'll see if it works. All right, so quick tip for when plugging it in and bolting on back the ground. You want to keep the alternator at this angle, as you can see, it's top. So that way this little piece, let's see if I can get it, that little piece, the little bend, goes right into that little rubber piece, and then you just tighten it up, and from there it's just a matter of sliding it back into position. My alternator is lined up, as you can see. I'm gonna bring this harness down after I bolt that top one, and then bolt on the brackets, and do one step at a time. I'll start from top to bottom, and then it should be good to put my belt back on. I'll put a diagram once I get to that point so you guys can see how the serpentine belt goes. I would recommend, if you haven't yet, you get the upgraded belt from Z1. They offer like a non-slip belt. That one's really good because I know these belts tend to have some problems, especially in these cars. So another quick tip to putting on that top mounting bolt is, I say you do it from the top without the intake or anything on. It gives you a lot more room to work with on trying to move the alternator you know, wiggle it in so that that mounting bolt can thread on. And currently, that's what I am doing. I'm almost there. I don't want to strip my bolt, which I already did. So, all right, guys, as you guys can see now, I have the brackets all bolted up. I just need to bolt up that one. And a quick tip, don't tighten up the top mounting bracket of the alternator tight. So that way you have some movement, so you can move this, because I had to move my alternator a little bit that way for this to line up with this hole. And that's pretty much it now. I just need to put these connectors back on, tighten it up, then putting my belt back on and my intake and all that good stuff. But overall, it's pretty, I would say it's pretty easy. This hose, I tucked it behind my filter just to have some room. But, oh my God, my waist cracked. But I'll just relocate it back and put everything back how it was. And everything should be looking good. Alternator is fully connected from this harness. Not sure where that goes to. Yeah, as you can see, it's pretty secure. I'm gonna leave my intake off still, just to put on my belt. I'm gonna leave the tensioner off because that little part of the pulley is kind of hard to get in. It's kind of, space is really awkward. So I'll just put up a diagram. I'll put it up here, and that's basically how you put it back on. My tensioner's on. As you guys can see, I looped the belt through the back before I installed it, just because that part's kind of hard, especially with the space we're working with. But now I'm just gonna tighten it up, torque it to spec, and then make sure the bed is on good. I'll put my ratchet back onto here, this little piece right there, and take off the Allen key, and it should put the belt back how it should be. And then I'll install my intake. All right, just a quick reminder that with this, you're still pulling back to you. So if you're in front of the car, you pull it towards the passenger side. So you just want to pull it this way. That way you don't do the opposite way and you break something. Just thought I had to mention that. All right, just like that, we're done. Not necessarily just like that, but take a minute. But it's all worth it instead of taking it to the dealer. My intakes are on. My reservoir tanks are back bolted on. I'm gonna connect the battery. I'm about to use my little jump start. Obviously it's dead. And then the real test will be driving it, make sure it charges the alternator, and then seeing if maybe in a couple hours it doesn't die. And if it doesn't, I'll try it again tomorrow morning, and if it doesn't die, then my alternator was my problem. Hopefully that's what it was. I'm crossing my fingers. You know, I didn't take so many scratches on my hand just for it not to be the alternator. But at least I now have a new alternator. The car is at 110,000 miles. I got this car. I drive it everywhere. So we'll start it up, see if it starts up. Car's been on for about 30 minutes. I'm gonna turn it off. Turn it back on. Turns right back on. Okay. I'm gonna go take it for a drive and then let it sit for a couple hours and then try it on again. And then I'm gonna let it sit overnight and try turning it on in the morning. It's a quick update now. The reason why my car was not turning on and losing power was the battery. I my car still would just die the next morning. So I took my battery to AutoZone. They tested it, and it was a bad battery. Originally, they said that they could have charged it, but I'm pretty sure with the red top, they said they're pretty common to go bad, and ended up getting just one of their Duralast Platinum. And now the car's been running good, you know, no problems, turning on fine. Pretty sure I'm probably drawing power from somewhere, and since the car was parked for so long, it kind of just ruined the battery. But yeah, you know, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, or you guys learned from something. If you have any questions, let me know. As always, follow me on Instagram, you know, leave a comment, message me on Instagram if you have any questions as well. And you know, it's pretty much a video on how I installed my alternator for the 3.0